Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and yeah, I feel like I don't need to give too much of an introduction here. So a couple of days ago, after a little bit of hype, we finally got to hear the song that will represent France at Eurovision this year. And, well, the fandom hasn't taken it too well. I know someone who has it as their personal first or second so far, and honestly, more power to him. But a lot of people don't. So, the singer is Tom Leeb, and the song is called The Best in Me, which I feel like having a fully English title like that should kind of raise some red flags right from the get-go, but who am I to judge? Any other country, I wouldn't question it, but France? France! The country that's really proud of its culture? Whatever. Anyway, music by Oh, are you kidding me? And lyrics by Oh, come on! Yeah, I have some feelings about this one. I've got to say, France, I am disappointed in you. I expected better. I do have French heritage myself, and I'm not going to admit that quite so freely after this one. I was disappointed the moment I heard who was involved in the songwriting process in the first place. It really does come across as like a sick joke or like a slap in the face to, honestly, the French people as a whole. No offense to Amir, he is a cinnamon roll, and honestly, him and Tom deserve so much better than a project like this. And yeah, I want to give this song a fair shake. Believe me, I tried when writing this review, but even the people of France, even the French Minister of Culture agrees. The nicest thing I can say about this song off the cuff is that it sounds like a Melody Festivalen reject written for an X Factor reject. Now, I'm not saying that Tom is an X Factor reject, I'm saying that was the target market when they wrote this instant song, Just Add Water. Bearing in mind the writing team, that's probably a fairly accurate description. And I saw a comment on YouTube saying that Tom is an extremely talented singer who deserves much better than this tired old dross, and I make no apologies when I say that I agree completely. France could have had another 2016-2017 situation on their hands, but instead we've got whatever this is. It's not awful by any means, but it's just there. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. It's dishwater. And as I said, both Tom and Amir deserve to have something better to attach their names to. Let me go into more detail here. Right. Putting aside my hang-ups about the writing team, no offense to Amir, and putting aside how the fandom at large feels about this whole situation, I want to at least give credit where it's due to Tom's vocals. He is far and away the only saving grace of this entire entry in the eyes of many people, and it's clear to see why. In terms of range, projection, and the capacity to hit each note with laser-guided accuracy, he's a proficient singer. And bearing in mind how... there's no nice way of saying this. Bearing in mind how synthetic and false the whole song is, the fact that his voice can cut through the noise, it can slice through the plastic that is the lyrics and make the words sound really sweet and sincere, is genuinely impressive considering how much of an uphill battle it is to get there in the first place. Like, reading the lyrics on paper, I can't help but think, oh, here we go. But when he sings them, I can honestly trick myself into thinking that they actually came from someone's heart, instead of just a desperate corporate machine. Okay, wow, can I just stop for a second and chill? Even I'm getting annoyed with myself for all these catty remarks that keep slipping into the review. I don't like being negative, it just comes so naturally this time. Okay, one last point on Tom's voice. Towards the end of the song, he busts out this really impressive falsetto section. It's a difficult skill to master on the best of days, so the fact that he's able to keep up the same levels of genuinely compelling delivery and vocal projection even whilst hitting those crazy high notes and those vocal acrobatics does give the song that extra kick of impact that it's aiming for at that point. And, okay, on balance, throughout the song as a whole, yeah, the instrumentation is enjoyably decent. There's nothing groundbreaking in there, but there is some extra synth in there that at least makes it more interesting than just the bare bones minimum, which it could so easily have been. This is why I say that this song is a letdown, as opposed to a total dead loss. You are allowed to enjoy this song after all, and as I said, I don't like how negative I've been. I want to be kinder here, but I mean, really? Okay, once again, as with a certain previous entry I've reviewed recently, I don't take pleasure in discussing the negatives of the song. And, as I've said, I am legitimately sick of being so sour as a whole. But nevertheless, at my most forgiving, I still have to point out that this song is woefully generic and lacking in original identity. And as a consequence, it is far from memorable in any meaningful way. No matter where it's placed in the running order of the final, it's as good as guaranteed to get lost in the shuffle. Put it this way, I haven't listened to Albania's song since it was chosen, and I still remember the melody of Shy. I remember that. I listened to this song 10 minutes ago and I could not tell you how it goes. Now, something that I know the fandom will have my back on here, even though most members of the public won't think twice about it, there is something about this song that leaves a bad taste in my mouth along the lines of it being France. France, mind you, La France, the country that invented the language that gave us the phrase 12 points, the country so proud of its national identity they almost went on total rioting strike when their 2008 entry was originally released completely 100% in English. Just to see a country like that suddenly out of nowhere selling out to a bunch of Swedish hit for hires is just really disappointing. I'm not angry, I'm just sad. Most voters won't even remember last year's entry when this is on stage, because that's what the general public do. They hear the song on the night, then they forget about it. That's not saying that Roi was in any way forgettable, it's just, I know how the public think. So yeah, they won't remember last year's song, let alone what happened over 10 years ago, but we in the fandom do. And that hurts. Oh, and finally, as a tie-in to that instant hit just add water formula, not only does this song have a victory key change, it has a bad one. And not only does it have a bad one, it has two bad ones. As if the overall style didn't already make it sound dated from the outset, this insistence on putting in not one, but two emphatic key shifts doesn't come across as victorious or swelling, as they're probably hoping it will. It just comes across as an old-fashioned version of Latvia's inclusion of the not-quite rap section in Still Breathing. It's throwing a tornado of cliches at a song, hoping they'll stick with the aim of grabbing points from as many different avenues as possible. And it just does not land in 2020. Like I said, the key word is just disappointing. On the plus side, that does make it fairly easy to put my thoughts into numbers here. It should come as very little surprise to hear that my personal rating out of 10 for this song is a damp, squidgy 4. It's alright, it's listenable, Tom's voice is impressive, he makes the lyrics sound sweet even though they have more plastic in them than Rylan Clark Neal's face, no offence. One way or the other, this won't be my designated bathroom break of the final, but the song strikes me as if it might just be the straw that breaks the camel's back once and for all. What I mean is, in the same way that the recent Sonic the Hedgehog movie was the thing that finally got people to say, hang on, can we please stop having low-effort character models in our video game films? This might just be the final push that breaks the fandom and gets them to admit, look, we're sick of people hiring Swedes when they're just desperate for a good result. This stuff doesn't fly anymore. Didn't work for the UK last year, won't work for France this year. And so, I can only give it a technical rating of 5 out of 10, and even that feels generous on my part. Quite simply, this song is the epitome of mediocrity. It's not actively bad, it's just it tries much too hard in all the wrong places, and doesn't try hard enough in the few areas that might redeem it, save for Tom's vocals. In the same way that a good song falls apart when performed by a bad singer, a good singer can't rescue a dull, tepid song. As I just said, look what happened to the UK last year. Once again, we have a Swedish-written song for hire with John Lundvik's involvement on one side, and someone who doesn't understand that it's unfair to just scattergun entries for multiple countries in the same year on the other, and stuck in the middle is an excellent vocalist trapped in a song that does not do them justice by half. I think I'll start calling him Michael twice instead. But, right, calm down, silly puns and personal attacks that weren't meant to come off quite so mean-spirited aside, let's zoom out and consider the bigger picture. Is it even worth me pretending? I really don't know what happened to France lately. 2016 and 2017 were, in my opinion, very strong years. It was like a renaissance for the country, its delegation, and its overall approach to Eurovision. Then Destination Eurovision came along and, well, opinions vary, but props to them for making the effort. Some people loved Mercy, some people loved Wah. I was not among those people, but I reviewed them fairly and, yeah, they had appeal. But I really cannot wrap my head around what kind of leap of logic compelled the delegation to go from an insightful internal selection to a varied national final to just begging cap in hand to whichever Swedish composers would listen to their plea. If nothing else, France, should I take this entry as your way of admitting that you don't have any composers of your own that you think are good enough? Because I disagree with that. I think you do have composers that are worthwhile. That's why this laziness doesn't make any sense to me. So, if France had to face the semi-finals this year, let's just be glad for their sake that they don't. True, John Lundvik himself placed impressively at last year's contest, but that was him in his own element in a song that Krista Björkman handpicked for him. The UK, meanwhile, was one of Johnny Boy's hand-me-downs, came stone-dead rock-bottom last, even despite having talented singer at the helm, and the fandom at large kind of echoes my impatience here. In desperately scrabbling for a win by any means, fair or foul, France has instead latched onto a ticking time bomb of an entry that just goes to prove that having something disappointingly mediocre is, in many respects, worse than just having a song that's actively bad but at least memorable. And as I said, I don't like being so negative. I feel like I'm being unnecessarily cruel, and honestly, I wish the best to Tom and Amir as part of the delegation, but is there anyone out there who believes in this song enough to show me another way of thinking about it? Because please, comments below. Even my lights are giving up on me at this point, and I kinda don't blame them, but yeah. If you have something nice to say about the song, please share it. I do want to hear other perspectives here, and on top of that, iCard, vote, let me know how you feel. I kind of want the results to surprise me, to be honest. I want to find the good in every song. I want to give France a chance. So, yeah, what do you think? I've already outlined all the ways you can get in touch, and I need to recharge the batteries on my lighting rig, so, yep. To Tom, and the parts of the delegation that are actually French, I wish you the very best of luck in Rotterdam. I would wish luck to the others in the delegation as well, but, do they actually care? Because this song kind of suggests to me that they don't.